Folks, welcome back. Sorry, my tripod broke. Give me a second, everybody. Is that going to hold? Okay. Folks, welcome back. I know many of you guys have been asking to see some different things, so taking a break over here. So, my name is Rudy. You're watching Alpha Investments. On this YouTube channel, we report the news and we talk about the cardboard world, the things that do well, the things that pop, the things that tank, the things that do nothing at all. So I want to have a conversation with everybody and give you all updates. It's the first time I've showed you guys some of my personal pinball machines. These are 3 high-end Stern pinball machines. You have the world famous Black Knight over here, fully loaded. You have the infamous, one of the top rated pinball machines of all time, the Foo Fighters, followed by Rush over there with fully upgraded with all the accessories, shooters, toppers, side arts, LEDs, and fun stuff like that. These are all the limited edition versions. For example, this one, they made 600 of this one for the world. This one I think is out of 1,000, and that one's out of 1,000. So just a kind of fun thing I use to decompress by myself sometimes and relax. And so let's get into the card world, everybody. If you want to know more about pinballs, you can tell me below, and we'll make more videos on them. I'll share some of the other ones I have. So what do we got going on here? We have all kinds of interesting developments here with Wizards of the Coast, Commander, and Magic the Gathering. No, I'm going to get right up front with everybody. I do not believe this entire situation was premeditated. So a lot of people now have been asking me, Rudy, do you think this was the blueprint for Wizards to take over the Commander Rules Committee? Was this all a pre-orchestrated conspiracy theory plan? In my opinion, no. I do not believe this was planned from the beginning to go nuclear, ban the Jewel Lotus Mana Crypt, have a big backlash, have everybody attack and threaten these random people, whoever they are, and then on top of that, they all start quitting, hand it over to... I don't think this was... I do not believe that. On top of that, apparently, now information has come out that apparently Wizards of the Coast, or people representing Wizards, told this Rules Committee and Commander that they thought banning some of these cards was a bad idea, and they cautioned against it. So, we'll never really know the full behind the scenes, but the most basic answer is no, I don't think this was the original plan to actually get Wizards of the Coast to take over the actual rules and everything of Commander. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. Now, we have more interesting collateral damage and fallout from this. So, of course, you have cards like Mana Crypt and Jewel Lotus bouncing off their low prices, recovering and upticking, and now a lot of people are made a lot of money, a lot of people are upset because they sold at the low. You've got all kinds of things going on. Now, as I discussed with you all, historically the best thing to do in uncertain times or any form of emotional drama on the internet, most likely the best thing to do is nothing at all. If you have those cards, you probably need to wait and see if the dust settles. If you want those cards, maybe it's a good time. You can try to catch the falling knife and time the market. That's up to you. Now, we have a very interesting fork in the road. I can't believe I'm saying this, but this could be one of, or the catalyst needed to have a resurgence in reserve list vintage Magic the Gathering. A weird side effect of this whole thing is we've seen an uptick across the board on many buy lists for dual land. Again, not dramatic, by the way, folks. I'm talking like a dual land going up from a buy list of 300 to 350 or something. It's noticeable. It's noticeable. I've seen upticks in stores across the country's buy list for reserve list cards. I've seen an increase in volume on public marketplaces of reserve list cards with all this drama going on. So, you know, we talk about how life is incredibly difficult to predict, and we truly have no idea how things are going to unfold. And then I would have never predicted on my bingo card that one of the things that starts injecting money into old Magic again is this entire Commander rules, this goofy thing that blew up and just became a mess. But it did. We are seeing, not a lot. Again, this is like a year and a half ago, in Q3, Q4 of 2023, I told you guys, it looks like we are in a bottoming turning process for new modern products. I'm not saying anything positive and calling it now, but I'm telling you, we have the first sign of data that there is money flowing into old Magic. Not just the same people, oh, they're changing hands. I'm aware of that, and most of it's private, all things, private Facebook group, private MySpace, the Ashley Madisons, the Silk Road. I know everyone's trading their little cards, but we're seeing we have kind of two split personalities right now. Some people, we're seeing an influx of the money routing from modern new Magic to old stuff because they're angry at Wizards and they want to go after things that they feel are more safe. You have other people just saying, well, it's all game piece garbage and proxies and all the same old thing we've heard for the 10 years I've been on YouTube. But the point is, there's actually noticeable activity in old Magic because of what's happened. And I have not seen that this is the first noticeable uptick in 3 years since 2021. 2022 and 2023 was a bear market, just dog shit disaster. 2024, new Magic, new Pokemon, new One Piece, Lorcana, new Weiss, new Flesh and Blood, the new Sorcery. Everything's doing really, really well, except Vintage Magic. So, I don't know if this is going to be sustainable. I am not convinced that some of these upticks in bids in the old Magic cards that are coming from emotional behavior from the Commander fallout, I am personally not convinced that this is going to be sustainable. I'm encouraged, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I do not believe. The Rudy opinion on this video is I don't think this is going to be enough of an impact that's going to have enough follow through to make the market hold where it's at and push a few more steps higher on the staircase. It's encouraging, but I'm very skeptical. I'll report back to you guys, every couple of weeks like I usually do. But as of right now, it's interesting that this is the variable that's causing us to see our first uptick in years. So now that that's been out of the way, I want to address another thing. I had a long-term patron make a comment to me about, well, Rudy, don't you, we've discussed a little bit in other videos, but Rudy, don't you think that the success in the new market of all these new CCGs is diluted and spread out the flow of money, where Vintage Magic is just not as attractive anymore after Magic 30 and Mark Rosewater, the reprinting of, the pseudo collector's edition, all this stuff. I said, yes, that is all true. It did damage. People don't have the confidence they used to, and the market is more wishy-washy. But I think when this patron sent this message, the thing that really caught my eye was he says, Rudy, the more successful the new Sorcery is, the more successful the new Flesh and Blood is, the more successful new Magic with Universes Beyond, Final Fantasy, and Marvel coming up. And yes, if you're a patron, we're going to be carrying it, and it's going to be wild. The more success that Pokemon is just the monster it is, this pulls capital away from old Magic. Here's a joke right now. I had this 9-year patron send me a message, and he goes, Rudy, I just have a blunt thing with you. Let me just say this. If you had $5,000, I'd buy a pinball machine. No, I'm kidding. Would you honestly take $5,000 and buy some Vintage Magic, or would you take $5,000 and buy sealed cases of new Pokemon? Even if it's $110 a box, $120, even if it's $150 right now for Twilight, Eyes Wide Shut, right? And the honest answer is, you should always buy what you enjoy, and if it doesn't do anything, that you're happy with the product. Answer number 2 is, if you're looking for something that has the highest probability of return within a 5 to 10 year period, that has the least amount of risk compared to the other class items, in other words, the other boxes in the same class, yes, historical data shows that sealed Pokemon boxes have a higher probability of stability and dripping upwards in price and being repriced and accepted by the market. There's it is what it is. Pokemon's been around for almost 30 years, a few years less than Magic. Pokemon's 98, 99, Magic's 93, so 25, 26 years, let's call it 26 years. The 26-year data track run, from old stuff, even to the last 5 years, even through COVID and post-COVID, Pokemon did phenomenal. It's still doing phenomenal. And yes, the data shows that there is a lower degree of risk when you compare Magic to Pokemon. Now, it's still a collectible card game. There's still modern new printed products. They still carry unforeseen, systematic market, all kinds of bizarre risks that we can't comprehend. That is still a risk that everybody accepts who likes to collect cards. That just is what it is. But it makes you wonder, because if everybody feels that way, how long can the vintage Magic market stay flat and bearish? And do we need a black swan, very unpredictable event like this Commander situation to shock the market and get it moving again? Well, right now, that's what's happened. We've seen our first system shock, and we've seen activity, or I have at least, a noticeable difference in old Magic cards. Now, I'm not here to tell you all that we've turned the corner, and I'm not going to call anything yet because I'm not that confident we're going to continue to see a follow through. I'm just not there yet. We're going to need many months of upticks in data and other things that show a follow through before I kind of report back to you guys that the bear market in vintage is over. As of right now, the bear market in vintage is not over, but I am encouraged that it looks like the market's trying to have a turn. That's nice to see. So when this patron was telling me, Rudy, the vintage market, there's a good chance it never fully recovers and comes back the way it did before 2020. And his rationale was the flow of money to all these other card games. You're taking the same pool of money and chopping it between more brands. I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, the same amount of money is just getting flowed to different directions. And that really made me think for a while. That really got my attention. You know, it was like 2 a.m. I was sitting here completely naked playing pinball with my balls, with the pins. And I was like, you know, what if it really is just a fundamental market shift and a fundamental permanent change? And it's just none of us have realized it yet. That is something that is always has to be kept in the back of our mind. And if that is the case, well, I hope the cards you bought you personally enjoy, because they will no longer, eventually after 10, 20 years, if we have, let's be super negative Debbie Downers. If we go 20 years and vintage Magic cards are the same price in 20 years as they are today, when everything from the S&P to real estate to Bitcoin to every other asset class is, you know, doubled, tripled, quadrupled over 5, 10, 20 years, I mean, the definition of an investment does not fit vintage Magic anymore. Those would not be really that, they would just not be, they would not fit the definition of an asset anymore, which in Rudy's opinion, I consider them, the collectible market, I consider an asset class. Something to be combined with, you know, unique things, collectible things, fine art, real estate, Bitcoin, stamp collecting, blow-up doll collecting, stocks, bonds, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're all different classes, right? But when you combine them, you got a really interesting portfolio when they all move differently. So I guess that brings me to the next thing. Let's you know, Flesh and Blood had Rosetta. Incredibly successful. Gorgeous cards. Go on TCG Player, hit Rosetta, hit sort by highest. Look at some of these chase cards. Beautiful fucking art. And then look at New Magic. Every set they release just continues to boom. Pokemon. The bear market of Pokemon Scarlet Violet is over. Every new Scarlet Violet set people are just going crazy for. It's now Sword and Shield 2.0, people are calling it. It's over. It's just, the market has shifted. And now, the big test. Sorcery released their second set, Arthurian Legends. Yes, the Rudy exclusive promo and everything. Sorry I didn't get to finish my promo videos. We lost power a few days, the hurricane, and messed up my promos and the release schedule and spoiler videos, and it's a long story, but it's irritating. And then we got power back. We didn't have internet for a while. I couldn't upload at a high bandwidth, and it was just, anyways. You know, Arthurian Legends, the market is pumped for it. So far, I would say probably half of my patrons have gotten their Arthurian Legends kits. And yes, folks, I do have leftover Arthurian Legends. I will be running some leftover sales in the coming week or so. I've told you guys before, I'll say it again. This particular time, we were privileged enough to have an exclusive Avatar promo card by Frank Frazetta Artwork, the Frazetta estate. And this is you know, a lot of the conversation right now is people trying to speculate on the value of the Rudy Frank Frazetta Avatar Witch promo. And that's something that, you know, only time will tell and only the market will determine what it's really worth. But I just want you all to be aware that I wouldn't underestimate, and again, I've already sold pretty much everything. I've got a few kits left for reserve. But for those of you, so I really don't have much left to sell you all at this point, so I just want to be honest, and I would not underestimate this particular promo. People acting like this promo card is going to be, oh, it's like $50, it's a rip-off and scam, and yeah, this stuff's expensive. It costs me a lot of money. It costs a ton of money with me and PCG to grade all these things. It costs me tens of thousands in labor, material costs. It costs, you know, I gotta grade a bunch of them and send them to the Frazetta family as a thank you. There's a lot of cost to this stuff, okay? A lot of them are damaged. A lot of them show up from the factory, and the outer ones on the wrapping, they have so much claw marks and roller marks, we can't use them. So there's a lot going on, but I just want people to be aware that this is not going to be a $50 promo card. And I don't, by the time you watch this video, I don't know what they're going to be on eBay. Maybe you guys can check for me and comment below what the Rudy which promo card is. But in my opinion, the secondary market and people who want the card on the low side should be $200 to $300. And this particular card, in my opinion, should be $400 or $500 a card. That is my personal opinion. That's after I've already sold it to you guys and it's already gone. So, in my opinion, at this point in time, after the sale is over with, in my opinion, that's what it's worth. Because this is not just like the sexy ladies from the other one. This is a more expensive, powerful, playable card versus just a beautiful card, just with cool art. This one's a little different. So, with that being said, before we move on from Sorcery, the big test is right now. This is Sorcery's first expansion. Sorcery needs to maintain stability. The box prices need to not collapse. The market needs to be happy with the singles. And the market is going to judge whether or not they overprinted the product and whether or not that the product is stable, worth it, and will hold its own moving forward. So far, it looks really well. People are super excited. I started watching some other people do box openings on full boxes, and man, some of the curios and the gold, what was those gold gilded things, and the Holy Grail, oh my God, some of this stuff. I'm not going to go into a few other small things that you guys have been blowing me up right now. I'll just say a couple sentences if you're not familiar, but I'm going to say it real quick. There's some bizarre controversy going on and a lot of suspicion going on between the Sorcery Flesh and Blood thing because of the Holy Grail card. I've been blown up with a lot of messages. I don't plan on really making a big video conversation on it because I don't know the answer of what you guys are asking me. And that is that Sorcery has a fabled card. Fabled is a term most people recognize from chase cards in Flesh and Blood. And there's a lot of controversy of the Sorcery print this fabled card and use the language of like kind of empty promises as throwing shade and anger towards Flesh and Blood because the fables are purposely made to be not playable and they're really not much of a thing anymore. So there's a lot of people blowing me up about that. Is there something going on? I don't have the answer to that. But yes, it does seem a little strange. I don't know if it's a coincidence or if it's throwing shade at Flesh and Blood from Sorcery. Both of these are New Zealand card games. I don't know the relationship between Eric and James personally or anything. I know they know of each other. I don't know how close, whether they could talk. I don't know if they're friends or enemies or frenemies. But yes, I'm aware of what's going on. Enough, over 100 of you guys have sent me messages on it. I just wanted to bring that up as saying that I don't have an answer. I'm surprised to see some sort of fabled rarity card in Sorcery like the rest of you all. I don't know if it's going to be some secret combo thing or something in the future that's going to be, if you play this and have it, even though it doesn't do anything, it activates something. I have no idea what's going to happen on the board state. There could be cards in Sorcery in the future where you have that, Grail Cup playing, and if you have it or you play it or it's in your hand or in your graveyard or whatever, some other item or some other knight or sword, something activates. I don't know. But there's been a lot of chatter about that. So I want to at least take 60 seconds, tell you all I've heard you guys' messages. I don't know if it means anything or if you guys are just making shit up. It could be coincidence and everyone's just a bunch of Timmies and just making shit out of nothing. So that's Arthurian Legends. Like I said, the next week or so, you guys, I'm going to run some leftovers because I kept about 50, 75 kits as reserve because I was so afraid of overselling after the previous Sorcery sales. So now that things are stable, I do have extras. I'll run another sale. Now, let's move on here. To wrap this video back up, let's go back to the beginning about the vintage Magic and the modern Magic. If I had to predict years ago, I never, ever, ever would have predicted 3 years, 5 years, and 8 years ago, and 9.5 years ago when I started this channel, I never would have predicted that new Magic would overtake the excitement and market and demand over old Magic. I just did not see this coming. I didn't predict it correctly. There's no videos on this channel from years ago of me predicting new Magic's going to really become the future versus old. I got that completely wrong. Okay. Now, I also didn't predict there would ever be a time that Mark Rosewater would be lying and, Magic 30 would reprint the collector's edition. I never had that on my bingo card. I never predicted that. And just like the rest of you all, we were all woed by that moment in time. So I want to maintain a couple things. I don't think the reserve list will ever be broken or reprinted or loophole maybe, I don't know. I don't think it's all going to go to zero and collapse and people who have all their old, tens of millions or seven figures plus or anything. I have easily, I have 8 figures in vintage Magic by itself. Okay. And yes, if you're a Timmy, 8 figures mean 10 million plus just in vintage Magic. Now, in my personal opinion, it may not have a future of growth, but I don't think it goes to zero. I think it holds its own, which again, if you're just talking raw numbers and investing, is a terrible thing to invest in because inflation will just beat the hell out of you and just fucking ride the S&P 500 for 20 years and just live your life, right? But I have a passion for the old stuff. And yes, folks, I promise you I'm still going to do the Alpha IC Manipulator video. I'm sorry I haven't gotten to it. This last month with Magic release, Pokemon release, Weiss release, Sorcery release, Flesh and Blood release, Hurricane. My son, my 9-year-old got sick. We got the Hurricane thing, the power. It's just been so much. I am just mentally exhausted, so that's why you guys have seen limited videos. But we are catching up, and things are starting to finally level out as we go into the end of the year. Again, I think I'm gonna probably wrap this video up, but just thank you all for the support. Appreciate the patrons. You guys are the reason I'm here because obviously YouTube doesn't really pay shit anymore, and the views and everything. This video will probably get 5,000 views, and nobody cares. And it's not really being negative, so it's not gonna get a lot of drama. But no, I appreciate you all. Like I said, coming up here. I do have my last Kamigawa sale coming up for Kamigawa set. Holy cow. I was going to make a separate video on it, but I'll mention it real quick. Yeah, Kamigawa set boxes. First set box, $150. So because of that, yes, I do have one pallet. I have 2 pallets, one for me, and then I'm going to sell the other one. Yeah, they're $150 plus tax and TCG player. So yeah, we'll do something like, it'll be like a case and buy 5 boxes, get 1 free. So it'll be like, what does that come out to be? 150 a box minus 150 or something, 150 times 6 minus 150, I don't know. So what, 125, 129 a box? I don't know, we'll figure it out. So that's coming up here. We do have some more, we got some old Pokemon Sword and Shield sales coming up here. We do have some more, just so you know, I do have Duskmorn Play boxes because I'm sold out. I have thousands of Duskmorn Play, Bloomborough Play, and Thunder Junction Play boxes for the 1/16 shipped for all of you all out there, all over the United States, including FPO, APO, Hawaii, and everything. Alaska, sorry. So we do have more Duskmorn that will be added to the patron list every month on the front page. So those will be back in stock here in a couple of weeks for 1/16 shipped. And again, don't stress, don't rush. Those are going to be available to you guys for many, many months, probably all the way for probably a year. So you got plenty of time to buy those. Don't stress. Again, I've told you all, if you want an honest opinion, Jumpstart 2022 is out of print. I just pulled it down. I've been selling those things for $91 shipped for ages, and that's it. You guys can go on TCG Player or go to your local game store. Like I said, moving forward here, I do recommend you buy the older stuff or buy a variety. Don't just focus on the new hot thing, again, unless you're trying to sell singles or flip. I guess it's a little different. But so we do have all that coming up. Let me mention one last thing here with the Pokemon. We got Surging Sparks coming up in like a month or so. Yeah, the demand is incredibly high. Everything with Scarlet Violet moving forward, expect demand to be higher and higher, expect lower and lower downside risk as we move forward because, Scarlet Violet's out of the bear market. Everybody wants it now. Nobody's beating on it. Nobody's saying, I'm going to wait for the crash. So now everybody fights for the boxes at release because everybody understands that Pokemon Scarlet Violet is now accepted by the market. I will do the best I can to maintain it the best I can with quantity of a couple thousand boxes. As I learned with Stellar Crown, the demand for Pokemon continues to increase. Usually, like if I get 3,000 boxes of Pokemon, I like to sell you guys 2,000, and then I like to keep 1,000 boxes for me. Stellar Crown, I wasn't as fortunate. It almost blew out. I had to cut it off because I went past the 2,000 sold out marker, had to pull some of my own and everything, and it's been a little tougher. So that's all, folks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate the kindness and support. Hope you all have a beautiful day. Those of you watching in the Carolinas and Nashville and Tennessee and everything, that shit's terrible, man. Hopefully you guys are getting hope and, I don't know, government or someone's doing something that has airplanes or helicopters or funding or trucks or something out there. So, yeah, Godspeed to you all out there. Thank you all for watching, and as always, you guys have a beautiful day. Ugh.